afternoon. My name is Gail Wiley. I'm the community superintendent for Guam, and I will be reading chapter 28, To the Castle. Years passed, and Midge spent them scrubbing the kettle and tending the sheep and cleaning the hut and collecting innumerable, uncountable, extremely painful clots to the ear. In the evening, spring or winter, summer or fall, Midge stood in the field as the sun set, hoping that the royal family would pass before her again. Gore, I would like to see the little princess another time, wouldn't I? And the little pony too, with his tippy-toed feet. This hope, this wish that she would see the princess again was lodged deep in Midge's heart. Lodged firmly right next to it was the hope that she, Midgery, so could someday become a princess herself. The first of Midge's wishes was granted in a roundabout way when King Philip outlawed suit. The king's men were sent out to deliver the grim news and to collect from the people of the kingdom of Dor their kettles, their spoons, and their bowls. Reader, you know exactly how and why this law came to pass, so you would not be as surprised as Uncle when one Sunday a soldier of the king knocked on the door of the hut that Midge and Uncle and the sheep shared and announced that soup was against the law. "How's that?" said Uncle. "By royal order of King Philip," repeated the soldier. "I am sent here to tell you that soup has been outlawed in the kingdom of Dor. You will, by order of the king, never again consume soup, nor will you think of it or talk about it. And I, as one of the king's loyal servants, am here to take from you your spoons, your kettle, and your bowls." "But that can't be," said Uncle. "Nevertheless, it is. What do we eat? And what do we eat with?" "Cake," suggested the soldier, "with a fork." "And wouldn't that be lovely," said Uncle, "if we could afford to eat cake?" The soldier shrugged. "I am only doing my duty. Please hand over your spoons, your bowls, and your kettle." Uncle grabbed hold of his beard. He let go of his beard and grabbed the hair on his head. "Unbelievable," he shouted. "I suppose next the king will be wanting my sheep and my girl, seeing as those are the only possessions I have left." "Do you own a girl?" said the soldier. "I do," said Uncle, "a worthless one, but still she is mine." "Ah," said the soldier, "that, I am afraid, is against the law too. No human may own another in the kingdom of Dor. But I paid for her, fair and square, with a good laying hen and a handful of cigarettes and a blood-red tablecloth." "No matter," said the soldier. "It is against the law to own another. Now, you will hand over to me, if you please, your spoons, your bowl, your kettle, and your girl. Or, if you choose not to hand over these things, then you will come with me to be imprisoned in the castle dungeon. Which will it be?" And that is how Midgery's soul came to be sitting in a wagon full of soup-related items next to a soldier of the king. "Do you have parents?" said the soldier. "I will return you to them." "Eh? Ma?" shouted the soldier. "Dad," said Midge. "Your pa?" shouted the soldier. "I ain't seen him since he sold me." "Right. I'll take you to the castle then." "Gore," said Midge, looking around the wagon in confusion. "You want me to paddle to the castle?" shouted the soldier. "I'll take you to the castle." "The castle? Where the itty-bitty princess lives?" "That's right," Gore said Midge. I aim to be a princess too someday. That's a fine dream, said the soldier. He clucked to the horse and tapped the reins, and they took off. I'm happy to be going, said Midge, putting a hand up and gently touching one of her cauliflower ears. Might just as well be happy, seeing it doesn't make a difference to anyone but you if you are not. That the soldier, said the soldier. We will take you to the castle, and they will set you up fine. You no longer will be a slave, you will be a paid servant. Eh? Said Midge. You will be a servant, shouted the soldier, not a slave. Go, said Midge, satisfied. A servant I will be, not a slave. She was 12 years old. Her mother was dead. Her father had sold her. Her uncle, who wasn't her uncle at all, had clouded her until she was almost deaf. And she wanted more than anything in the world to be a little princess, wearing a golden crown and riding a high-stepping white horse. Rita, do you think that it is a terrible thing to hope when there is really no reason to hope at all? Or is it, as the soldier said about happiness, something that you might just as well do, since in the end, it really makes no difference to anyone but you?
Half a day. I am Ms. Ricadio, a second grade teacher at Anderson Elementary School, and I will be reading chapter 29. Hope you enjoy. Chapter 29. Start with the kersey and finish with the thread. Miggery Stowe's luck continued. On her first day on the job as a castle servant, she was sent to deliver a spool of red thread to the princess. Mind, said the head of the serving staff, a dour woman named Louise. She is royalty, so you must make sure you curtsy. How's that? Shouted Meg. You must curtsy, shouted Louise. Gore, said Meg. Yes'm. She took the spool of thread from Louise and made her way up the golden stairs to the princess's room, talking to herself as she went. Here I am, off to see the princess. Me, Miggery So, seeing the princess up close and personal like, and first off, I must curtsy because she is royalty. At the door to the princess's room, Meg had a sudden crisis of confidence. She stood a moment, clutching the spool of thread and muttering to herself. Now, how did that go? She said. Give the princess the thread and then give her a kersey? No, first the kersey and then the thread. That's it. Gore, that's right. That's the order. Start with the kersey and finish with the thread. She knocked at the princess's door. Enter, said the pea. Meg heard nothing. Knocking again. Enter, said the pea. And Meg, still hearing nothing, knocked yet again. Maybe, she said to herself, the princess ain't to home. But then the door was flung wide, and there was the princess herself, staring right at Miggery So. Gore, said Meg, her mouth hanging open. Hello, said the pea. Are you the new serving maid? Have you brought me my thread? Kersey, I must, shouted Meg. She gathered her skirts, dropped the spool of thread, stuck a foot out, and stepped on the spool, rocked it back and forth for what seemed to like quite a long time, both to the watching princess and the rocking Meg, and finally fell to the floor with a Miggish thud. Whoopsie, said Miggery So. The pea could not help it, she laughed. That's all right, she said to Meg, shaking her head. It's the spirit of the thing that counts. How's that? Shouted Meg. It's the spirit of the thing that counts, shouted Pea. Thank you, miss, said Meg. She got slowly to her feet. She looked at the princess. She looked down at the floor. First the kersey and then the thread, Meg muttered. Pardon, said the pea. Gore, said Meg. The thread, She dropped to her hands and knees to locate the spool of thread. When she found it, she stood back up and offered it to Pete. I brought you your thread, didn't I? Lovely, said the princess as she took the thread from Mig. Thank you so much. I can't seem to hold on to a spool of red thread. Every one I have disappears somehow. Are you making a thing? Asked Mig, squinting at the cloth in the Pea's hand. I am making a history of the world. My world, said the Pea. In tapestry, see, here is my father, the king, and he is playing the guitar because that is something he loves to do and does quite well. And here is my mother, the queen, and she's eating soup because she loved soup. Soup? Gore, that's against the law. Yes, said the princess. My father outlawed it because my mother died when she was eating it. Your ma's dead? Yes, said the Pea. She died just last month. She bit the bottom of her lip to stop it from trembling. Ain't that a thing, said Mig. My ma's dead too. How old were you when she died? Bold was I, said Mig, taking a step back, away from the princess. I'm sorry then. No, how old? How old were you? Shouted the Pea. Not but 6, said Mig. I'm sorry, said the princess. She gave Mig a quick, deep look of sympathy. How old are you now? 12 years. So am I, said the princess. We're the same age. What is your name? She shouted. Miggery so, but most just call me Mig. And I saw you once before, princess. You passed me by on a little white horse. On my birthday it was, and I was in the field with Uncle's sheep, and it was sunset time. Did I wave to you? Asked the princess. Did I wave? Shouted the Pea. Yes, nodded Mig. But you didn't wave back, said the princess. I did, said Mig, only you didn't see me. Someday I will sit on a little white horse and I'll wear a crown and wave. Someday, said Mig. And she put up her hand to touch her left ear. I will be a princess too. Really? Said the Pea, and she gave Mig another quick, deep look, but said nothing else. When Mig finally made her way back down the golden stairs, Louise was waiting for her. How long, she roared, did it take you to deliver a spool of thread to the princess? Too long, guessed Mig. That's right, said Louise, and she gave Mig a good clot to the ear. You are not destined to be one of our star servants. That is already abundantly clear. No, ma'am, said Mig. That's all right, though, because I am to be a princess. You, a princess? Don't make me laugh. This, reader, was a little joke on Louise's part, and she was not a person who laughed, ever, not even at the notion as ridiculous as Miggery So becoming a princess. I hope you enjoyed that chapter. Bye.
Alpha Day Dolphins, I'm Master Chief Lewis, and today I'm going to be reading Chapter 30, To the Dragons, The Tale of Despereaux. At the castle, for the first time in her young life, Mig had enough to eat, and eat she did. She quickly became plump and then plumper still. She grew rounder and bigger. Only her head stayed small. Reader is the teller of this tale. It is my duty from time to time to utter some hard and rather disagreeable truths. In the spirit of honesty, then I must inform you that Mig is the tiniest bit lazy, and 2, she is not the sharpest knife in the drawer. That is, she was a bit slow-witted. Because of these shortcomings, Louise was hard-pressed to find a job that Miggery So could effectively perform. In quick succession, Mig failed as lady-in-waiting. She was caught trying on a gown of a visiting duchess. As a seamstress, she sewed the cloak of the riding master to her own frock and ruined both. And as a chambermaid, sent to clean a room, she stood open-mouthed and delighted, admiring the gold walls and floors and tapestries, exclaiming over and over again, "Gore, ain't it pretty? Gore, ain't it something?" and did no cleaning at all. And while Meg was trying and failing at these many domestic chores, other important things were happening in the castle. The rat in the dungeon below was pacing and muttering in the darkness, waiting to take his revenge on the princess. And upstairs in the castle, the princess had met a mouse, and the mouse had fallen in love with her. Will there be consequences? You bet. Just as Meg's inability to perform any job well and its consequences, for finally, as a last resort, Louise sent Meg to the kitchen, where Cook had a reputation for dealing effectively with difficult help. In Cook's kitchen, Meg dropped eggshells in the pound cake batter. She scrubbed the kitchen floor with cooking oil instead of cleaner. She sneezed directly on the king's pork chop moments before it was to be served to him. "Of all the good-for-nothings I have encountered," shouted Cook, "surely you are the worst, the most cauliflowered, the good-for-nothingest. There's only one place left for you, the dungeon." "Ugh," said Meg, cupping a hand around her ear. "You are being sent to the dungeon. You are to take the jailer his noonday meal. That will be your duty from now on." Reader, you know that the mice of the castle feared the dungeon. Must I tell you that the humans feared it too? Certainly it was never far from the thoughts. In the warm mouths, a foul odor rose out of its dark depths and permeated the whole of the castle. And in still cold nights of winter, terrible howls issued from the dark place, as if the castle itself were weeping and moaning. "It's only the wind," the people of the castle assured each other, "nothing but the wind." Many a serving girl had been sent to the dungeon bearing the jailer's meal, only to return white-faced and weeping, hands trembling, teeth chattering, insisting that they would never go back. And worse, there were whispered stories of those servant girls who had been given the job of feeding the jailer, who had gone down the stairs into the dungeon, and who have never been seen or heard from again. Do you believe that this will be Meg's fate? Or I hope not. What kind of story would this be without Meg? "Listen, you cauliflowered fool," shouted Cook. "This is what you do. You take a tray of food down to the dungeon and you wait for the old man to eat the food, and then you bring the tray back up. Do you think you can manage that?" "Aye, I reckon so," said Meg. "I take the old man the tray and he eats what's on it, and then I bring the tray back up. Empty it would be then. I bring the empty tray back up from the deep downs." "That's right," said Cook. "Seems simple, don't it? But I'm sure you'll find a way to boggle it." "Ugh," said Meg. "Nothing," said Cook. "Good luck to you. You will be needing it." She watched as Meg descended to the dungeon stairs. They were the very same stairs, reader, that the mouse Despereaux had been pushed down the day before. Unlike the mouse, however, Meg had a light on the tray with the food. There was a single flickering candle to show her the way. She turned on the stairs and looked back at Cook and smiled. "That cauliflowered good-for-nothing fool," said Cook, shaking her head. "What's to become of someone who goes into the dungeon smiling, I ask you?" Reader, for the answer to Cook's question, you must read on. All right, that's the end of chapter 30. Thank you very much. Have a good day, dolphins.